Welcome to the Hmong Peeps Show, the one and only show that brings you ordinary people sharing extraordinary insights. Well, maybe. Here is your host, Chew Effin Lee.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Chew. Welcome to the Hmong Peeps Show. I'm going to talk about family and regrets. Okay, and I'm going to talk about this topic today because, as you guys may have already known, last weekend we did a funeral for my cousin who passed last month, and we are still looking for closure at this point. There's really no official statements from the police department about what happened to the guy, so we're kind of left in limbo at this point. We're all frustrated, upset, disappointed, still, dealing with the pain, the loss, the grief. We don't know when we're going to get closure, so we'll see what happens. But the funeral, I think I shared this with you guys. The brothers asked me to do a eulogy for him, and I was able to get through it. I was concerned at first, because I wasn't sure if I can get through it without breaking down, but I was able to keep my composure, and I'm glad I wrote it down and I read it. Otherwise, if I had to think and kind of freestyle, if you will, I'm not sure how it would have turned out, but I'm glad I wrote it out. And the message from the eulogy, I think, that I try to highlight was, being grateful for relationships that you have with other people, especially with your family. And so I talked about being grateful for the relationships you have, appreciate people that are in your life, and know that we're all blessed to have each other. Because isn't it strange how we don't think about these things until something tragic happens, right? And then when we think about it, about regrets and what we could have done, what we should have done with the person that passed, it's too late, And I spoke about that in my eulogy too. I talked about my own regrets of not hanging out with him more, while he was still here. And I owned it. I told everybody that's something that I have to live with. But I didn't want to say anything to the family members where, it's going to give a message. And also, you guys have to live with that. That was not my intentions. And I didn't say that. But I hope they understood the message, hopefully, right? Yeah, so when I was there, during the whole funeral process, he wasn't married. He didn't have any children. So they did the, I think, 2-day deal. It was a Saturday opening, Sunday, and then the burial was on Monday. And, it was tough for me to, and I think I've shared this with you guys in the past too. I know that his spirit is still, alive and well, but the part that makes me sad at these funerals and when somebody close to me passes away is because of not the spiritual piece, but more of the physical piece. For example, for him specifically, I won't ever get to hold his hand, like shake his hand, give him a hug. So those are the things that I'm going to miss physically. But spiritually, there's nothing I miss about it because I know that, he's around. He's going to always be around. He's going to be watching over us. But, of course, that's just some people who understands that. Those that are spiritually open, they understand that part of it. And also, maybe this is true for a lot of you too, where, when you're at the funerals, sometimes you're not sad that the person passed away, but you're sad because you feel the emotions of everybody that's around you and the energy, the sad energy. And then, of course, it makes you, shed a tear, makes you cry. I think I held it pretty well together until we were at the cemetery and we were going to, put him 6 feet under. And they had the ritual of, getting in line to say your last goodbyes. And his twin brother, the family didn't let his twin brother go to the burial. And I'll share this with you. I never saw it this way, but I was wondering why they didn't let him go to the burial, and he didn't tell me specifically, but he just said, "Hey, Chu, I need you to send a message to my brother. Okay, let him know that I love him and I miss him, and it's not that I didn't want to come to the burial, but they won't let me." And so I asked some relatives why that was the way it was, and they said because when in cases where there's twins, identical twins, the surviving twin is not supposed to go, because when the surviving twin looks into the casket, then it's like seeing yourself in the casket, and that's not a good thing. So that was news to me. I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, so going back to the whole family and regrets thing, right? No matter how much we have to deal with, conflicts, family conflicts within our own immediate family, we have to make certain decisions, right? And some of those decisions may be tough decisions, such as I'm going to distance myself from a certain family member, or you're closer to other family members than some other ones. I mean, at the end of the day, when they pass, if they should go before you, hopefully you can live with the decisions you've made. To me, sometimes, and I don't mean to be disrespectful at all, but I find it kind of fake and pathetic when I see some people at funerals where they haven't seen that family member that passed for a long time, and then they come to the funeral to make a big scene, cry and wail, and and then the inside scoop, like, man, you are such a fake person. You're doing that just for show. And I've seen that in this past weekend as well, and I've seen it at other funerals as well. That it's to me it's a pathetic move, but whatever. But be careful as far as how you choose to spend time with others. It's easier said than done too. I mean, some family conflicts are very deep and hurtful in many ways that a lot of us don't understand. I get it. But can you live with yourself if that person you have that conflict with passes? And surprisingly, some people are able to live with that regret, or maybe they can live with it and still not have any regrets. And that's fine if you can do that. I don't know how you do it, but okay, right? But to me, I look at it like this. You do what you can. Every family dynamic is different. Just because some family members seem to get along better than others doesn't necessarily mean you're abnormal or you're strange. The relationship you have with your family member is strange. No. I often think about how some of us have a perception of what a family looks like. I think when we were all little kids, I can't speak for you guys, but for me, I had this fantasy of, for example, my parents are always going to stay together. They're never going to get a divorce. I mean, they're still together, but that was my fantasy, right? And I had a fantasy of, okay, my brothers and sisters and us, we're all going to live together forever. We're going to buy a big, big mansion, and we're all going to live in that mansion together. That sounds pretty naive for me now that, I'm older, because I've learned that when you have adults living together and under one roof, adults meaning more than two, there's going to be conflicts. There's going to be clashes. And not to say that one person is better than the other, okay? The morals and values are different, and Who's to say mine's better than yours or yours is better than mine? It's just that those things will clash. And when they do clash, then family conflicts arise, and then that's when people start to kind of go their own separate ways. And when they do go their separate ways, you know, can you, if you decide to go, like, to separate from your family member or members, can you live with that fact that one day physically you cannot hug that person anymore? That's something we have to think about. And I'm not trying to be emo here, and I might sound emo, but because I just got done with the funeral, but these things we don't really think about until it happens. And when we have these regrets, sometimes the regrets are a little bit too much, too late, I guess, and it creates more problems. For example, depression, guilt. So while you still have time with, physically, you still have time to repair bridges that were burned, it might be something worth thinking about, to say, is it worth repairing this bridge with a certain family member? And if it's not, then it's not. Okay. But one day, death physically is guaranteed for all of us. We cannot escape that. The main question is, can we live with our decisions that we've made as far as, like, separating from our family? Okay, some families function better when they're apart. I know some family members, not family members, but I know some families who get along when they do come together at family reunions, because they haven't seen each other for such a long time. Then when they do come together, everything's all good, right? And if they're together too often, then it's not always good, because there's always conflict. So there's really no final answer to this. It's more personal preference, I would say. Whatever you decide to do, just try to remember and reflect on regrets. Do you want to have any regrets? Can you live with those regrets? I've had one big regret in regards to not spending enough time with someone, and that was with my grandmother from my mom's side. And again, I may have shared this story with you guys. If not, I'll tell you now. I last saw my grandmother about 10 years ago in South Carolina, and when I was leaving, we were there for a funeral for one of my cousins, and as we were departing, my grandmother was crying to me, and I asked her, "Why are you crying?" She goes, "Because I might not see you again." And I said, "Well, don't say that. You're in California. I'm in Minnesota. We're here in South Carolina. We're a phone call away. We can always visit each other." But throughout that 10-year gap, I never went to see her. She got sick. I think she started to develop, I think it was Alzheimer's. So she had, like, dementia and all that stuff too. And I didn't get to go see her. And I wanted to, but then I thought, she's not going to even remember who I am. Because my parents went to see her, my brothers went to see her, and she didn't really remember them. And then she passed away last spring. And at her funeral, I also gave a speech as well. And I owned up to it. I shared with the people that were in attendance. They were Catholic, so they had, like, a Catholic funeral. And I spoke to the audience, and I just told them what I said here earlier, which is, I have to live with that regret. I have to live with those decisions of not coming to see my grandmother when I had the opportunities to. I decided not to, and then now, physically, I cannot hug my grandmother anymore. So yeah, it's not something that I'm proud of at all. Okay, so when I'm talking about this, I hope you guys don't take it the wrong way and say, "Oh my gosh, Chu is very creepy and strange. Why is he talking like he's proud of this?" I'm not proud of it at all. I'm just sharing some personal stuff with you guys in hopes to help you guys think about things differently or on a deeper level. Okay. All right. That's it. I hope you guys have a good week and weekend. Tomorrow we're gonna have a annual family picnic, so I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, it's gonna be a quiet weekend for me. I hope you guys stay safe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.